Hi guys, good morning. Welcome to my Flosstube. My name's Emily and thank you very much for popping by for my weekly update. It is the 20th of March, 10:20 in the morning. I actually have my room to myself this week because my little boy got up at 3 o'clock this morning. It's like, I said to Robin this morning, it's like he's been on pause through lockdown, and now since he's been back at school, they've pressed fast forward and play at the same time, like we used to do on tape recorders when you were it's fast forward and play pushed down at the same time. So his brain has switched on and he is drawing intricate pictures with descriptions, and he wants to get up and watch a movie, and he went downstairs at like 4:30 this morning, and he has been ever since. He's almost 9. We're safe and secure here. We're quite happy for him to go on downstairs, put the telly on. He can do all of that himself. Yeah, so he's been on the go. So everybody's up and about in my room, which is kind of nice. So I've got my room to myself, and I thought I'd get my Flosstube out on Saturday morning, because last week I was running a bit slow last week, and it was Sunday by the time I finally got one up. So yeah, I've had quite a good week. I've not done anything that I thought I might do this week. My full coverage has taken a bit of a nosedive. I think I've just, obviously 2.5 weeks really super concentrating on something. I start looking right and left and what can I do? So I'll quickly show you my full coverage progress because it's not very much. I've only ticked off one more history sprint, but hopefully by the end of this week I'll have done all the little bits of stitches to finish off. Hang on, I've got my piece of paper here. There's my piece of paper, and all the ones with a dot in the corner, which is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. I've got 7 more in progress on 7 different full coverage pieces. So hopefully by the end of this week I'll have put in the last few stitches. Some of them are only waiting for like 100 more stitches, and then they're done. The history sprint's done. So hopefully by the end of next Flosstube, which will still be in March, will be I'll have ticked off quite a few more of them. But I have a funny feeling I'm not gonna get an awful lot of full coverage done. Apologies for my hair, I'm gonna fuss at it. I had a shower not long ago, it's down. I just thought just once I'd dry it just hanging as it is without it being tied up in a knot. So if you've not met my hair before, it is extremely long. There's not very much of it, it's very long, and it's always tied back. You'll very rarely, this is the second time, once in Flossmas it wasn't tied back. So you won't see it very often, but I will fuss with it because I do as soon as it's down. It makes me crazy. Even though it's super long, it doesn't fall in my face, which is what I really hate. Right, anyway, so, and it'll get lighter as it dries, like a piece of fabric. Right, stitching, full coverage. First thing I did was finish up, this is my, I'm just trying to get it so it's folded nicely, my Bountiful bookshelf, which is an Amy Stewart Haid, standard size, standard colour. It's enormous, the standard size, and I finished up the spine of this book here completely. I was missing a few stitches last week, and I've put quite a few stitches. I did some stitching down here, and I put some few stitches into this book here. And I think there's a bit more gone in the top here. That is the top border there. So that's where I am with that one. It was Mother's Day last week. I did the stitch with me, and then Maddie and I popped out and got my mum some baby plants, which is what we always do. Didn't do a stitch with me, I did a Flosstube. And I can't even remember now if I did it before or I did it before we went out. So we went out, got my mum some baby plants from the garden centre, and I didn't think it would be open, but I'd kind of forgotten that downstairs in our big, it's one of those really big garden centres that has a place that sells summer houses, a place that sells hot tubs. It's got a tropical fish shop inside it. It sells all sorts of gift stuff. There's a huge cafe, there's a food court. It's one of those really, really big ones. Downstairs there's a craft shop, and we've always kind of gone, ugh, because it's not like Hobbycraft, it's not like an independent craft shop. It's just got a tiny selection of, it's like Hobbycraft but in one small room, so it's got very limited stock. It does, however, have a whirligig display stand of DMC, so I was able to get the one which I have used in another piece, so I have the colour, I just didn't have it to hand, that put in the DMCs along here. The one that I was missing, that little light stitch just there, was the colour I was missing. I got it. I got a couple of others. I got another 995 because I was running a bit skinny on 995, because I'm using an awful lot of that on the mini Sunflower Cottage, which of course I'm now just looking down at pointlessly. So I did a little bit of stitching in there. I will be picking this back up. I almost picked it up last night and didn't, but I'm going to pick this up again and see if I can get a bit more of this book here, this side here of this book stitched in, to finish off the history sprint I'm working on Bountiful Bookshelf. I have carried on with Happy Mr. Oliver's plain border in 3799. I haven't brought it upstairs. Clive is asleep on it downstairs. So I will insert a picture of it just here, just to show you my progress. I'm literally filling in around the oval picture. I'm filling in the border so that it makes a neat rectangle. I'll just pop a picture in of it just to show where I've got to on it. I'm just plodding along with that whenever. It's been in the car most of the week and I've just put a handful of stitches in here and there, so I haven't really been counting them properly for the history sprint. So I shall sit and do a chunk, because I do need to finish off a history sprint with that piece. And then the only other full coverage piece that I touched this week was my mini Sunflower Cottage, which I have motored along a bit with, and I'll show you what I've done. So this is where I am with it. That's that side. This line here is the other side, so that's its full width on 25 count 1/1. So it's really tiny. That's it, full width. I mean, it couldn't have got much bigger, could it? Because there's the edge of my fabric. So I've got slightly more this side than I had that side, and I'm going to have a bit more at the bottom than I have at the top, but I wanted to be sure it was going to fit. So what I've done with the 995, which is this main background colour, I've counted around, and you can see roughly where I've counted out the 10 by 10 squares. I've literally just stitched around them, and when I've come to somewhere it's got a borderline, I've stitched that. So now all I need to do is fill in the states. I just need to fill in. So when I've got a minute, I can just fill in that one. Each one of these little shapes I know fills in with 995. So I can grab me little tiny, you can see why I had to buy another one. What have I done with it? Oh, I've popped it somewhere. Oh, it's over there. Doesn't matter. Hang on. It doesn't matter, but it does. Look, you see, my 995 was rapidly running out. Even though I'm only doing one strand, it was rapidly running out. So I bought myself a new skein of that when I was in the garden centre on Sunday. And I'll crack on filling these in. I think I want to get it filled in and done and out of the way, so that and the background out of the way, so that I can get on and fill in some other colours the next time I get to it. So I can just crack on. I know I don't need to look at the pattern. I can just fill it in, and then as I can fill in a section, go to pattern keeper, colour the whole section in, because I know I've stitched all the stitches in that block. Obviously my pattern keeper looks exactly the same, all funny marked out. Does look like a picture of America with all the state lines drawn on. Does almost you've kind of got Texas sticking out the bottom here. Anyway, so as I fill in each state, I can go to my pattern keeper, fill it all in, and I know how many stitches I've filled it in. But I can do this in the car, I can do this sitting downstairs with watching telly with the boy or something. You know, it is what it is. So I've not done so much full coverage, but that's what I've got done this week. And the reason I've not done so much full coverage, where I keep looking down, I've got a bag of Happy Mail. Ooh, where's my hand? There. She'll know when she sees that. She knows. I've not pinged her yet to let her know. It's just literally just arrived. I was brushing my hair and the postie knocked. So it's literally just arrived, and I was like breaking into my package. So I want to show you that, but I'll wait and show you my other stuff first. But it's looking at me saying, show me, show me. On Mothering Sunday, last Sunday, in the evening, I thought, I want a Mother's Day start. I really do. no reason for it. I just really fancied starting something new, as you do every now and again. You just think, I want to start something new. So I downloaded a pattern, the same time, so we're talking end of November, I bought the pattern. Back when I bought the Advent, I've still not done it, bought the Advent for Flossmas that I then didn't even use because it was just so many stitches to accomplish, which is when I fudged together my own one. I bought the pattern, downloaded it, lost it, as you do. So had to go on Robin's computer, log into Etsy and log into my personal Etsy, which is my original, under my original shop. Re-download the pattern, which thankfully it just let me re-download the pattern, and I, after some struggle, got it into Pattern Keeper because I didn't realise that it was 2 patterns. And she's a tiny modernist and she's called Stitch Goddess, and I don't have a picture of her, so I'm going to put a picture of her in here. Isn't she lovely? I bought that back in November. I just really liked her. She was only just out, I think, then. The hair, all the bits and pieces, the shape of the dress I really like. So I thought, right, I want to start her. But when I downloaded the pattern and tried to put it into Pattern Keeper, it was trying to put loads and loads of pages in, and it kept saying it's this long, and I was like, no, it's not, the pattern's only this long. So I went into the PDF, because I didn't even look at the PDF, I just tried to import it straight into Pattern Keeper and thought, well, I'll fix anything then. And lo and behold, there's a second pattern. There's 2 colourways, as it were. And I'll put the second picture in here of the second one, which I have seen. I've seen people stitching that because there's the Stitch Asia sale, I think, going around. And I've definitely seen some pictures of the other one, and my brain hadn't connected it was the same pattern. Now in the pattern, they've got identical dresses on. There's very subtle differences between the dresses, but all the stuff around the outsides is exactly the same. I want to stitch them both so that they can hang side by side. So I'm going to stitch the original pattern, the girl with the red hair, well, it's actually bright orange hair. I'm going to stitch her as called for. I have changed up one green because it didn't show up on my fabric, but that's just a tweak for the fabric difference. I'm going to stitch her as charted, and then as I stitch the second one, I'll choose whether to keep it the same or to change the colour. I'm stitching the pattern identical. I'm not changing the pattern. I'm going to change up some colours, just so that when they sit next to each other, it's not the same pattern twice, but she's got a different skin tone and hairdo and what have you. It's going to be, so the little birds on the redhead girl, they're bright pink. They might be bright purple, and I think they're probably going to be bright purple on the second one. Anyway, that's going to be the difference in it. So I hunted and hunted and hunted and found, and I wanted to do it on blue. I wanted to do it, I really like the way the pattern looks. So I thought, right, I want to stitch it on blue. So I found this, which, if you remember Flossmas, I put the Barbara Anna Christmas hair right in the corner. I sewed on waste fabric so that I could get it into the Q-snap and stitch it right in the corner, giving me quite a big piece of fabric left. So I counted it by hand with a couple of counting pins, and it would have fitted on this piece of fabric here. There's how much space I had at the top, and I was pinging Marcia, she's the Marzipan Stitcher on Instagram, and we were talking about the Mandy Manzano full coverage pieces because she's just bought Mulan, and I showed her this and went, here's my Mother's Day start, and she went, where's your borders? And I was like, there are no borders. And then the next morning I got up and I looked at that and went, there are no borders. What am I doing? Come on, you can do, I don't need to have to struggle with everything. I don't need to be caught in a struggle with everything I do. So I sacked that, and that's very little there to frog. and I'll use this big sparkly piece for maybe a different Barbarana at a different time or something. So that's the beginning of the story that started the chain of events of what I've did this week. So I found a piece of 32 count white pre-packaged Zweigart Laguna that I bought from Hobbycraft. I've got a kit from mybobbin.com of a peachy coloured rose, and it's beautiful, but it came with Ada, so I thought, well, I'll stitch it on a piece of Laguna. So I got the piece of Laguna, and I never started the kit. It's still sitting brand new. It's something else. I don't think I've even ever shown it to you. I have 2 kits actually from the first time I ordered. The same time I bought Shipping Trees, I ordered 2 kits, which I have never stitched yet. I haven't started them yet. I still really like them. I'll still do them both. One's for my mum, one's for my dad. The other one's a Clockwork Fish. It's a steampunk Clockwork Fish. There's lots of backstitch on that one, but I haven't tackled them yet. That one's got a piece of even weave in it actually, but it's very rough even weave. So I might try and dye that. So I thought, right, I'm going to see if I can dye this piece of white fabric blue to match to try and get it quite close to what the picture looks like. And I've got some blue dyes, and I thought, well, while I'm at it, I'm going to pull the fabrics that I bought, 2 fat quarters for, I'm just going to bring this over here so I can start organising this as I'm talking. I bought 2 fat quarters for 2 Celtic ladies, originally, way back when, we're talking 1.5 years, probably nearer 2 years ago, when I first saw the Celtic ladies. I bought a fat quarter of taupe. It's sandier, it's darker than it's showing. It is darker than it's showing on the screen. And I bought a fat quarter of that, and then when I got my kit up of the Celtic Lady Summer, and it came with this piece of cashel, which is, yeah, fairly rigid, as I didn't like because it doesn't move. I bought a fat quarter of cream in 28 count. So I had 3 pieces of fabric. I had this piece of taupe, a piece of cream, which was quite a peachy colour, and a piece of white. And I thought, well, if I dye the piece of cream for my summer, and I dye my piece of white for my, did that as well, dye the piece of white for the Stitching Goddess, it's big enough to put both of them on with lots of space, with like proper borders. So I thought, well, I'll try and do like a really motley, sorry, it's my Facebook that's pinging. I'll try and do a motley border, a motley background, so that I can actually frame it with some background showing, rather than it being so tight fitting that it's not going to really work out properly. So while I was there, I'll just grab this. I thought it was about time I washed my temperature tray, which had the big splooshes of coffee on it. So this is it, washed and ironed, and the coffee mark is still there, but it's so much paler than it was. Now the Gentle Arts cinnamon said on the packet, said on the thread thing that it comes on, colour fast. So I thought, brilliant, I'm going to wash it. It is colour fast, it has not bled into my fabric, it's not done any damage to it, it's absolutely beautiful. A lot of coffee came out, a lot of colour came out of that. It's not changed its colour or tone at all, but the water was brown, like brown. And I had that wash of horror. Has it bled into the fabric? And it hadn't. It was fine, but my water was brown. It was that colour, and I just had that feeling of horror but there isn't any bleeding at all onto my fabric. So yes, it's colour fast, but my goodness me, a lot of dye came out of it. Had one of those moments. Anyway, there are a couple of little clips of me doing the dyeing where I explain a bit better what I did, and then I'll insert that in here, and then I'll talk you through what I got finished up with. Hey guys, first of all I'm going to totally apologise. My house is very noisy at the minute. I've got lots of humans shouting and swearing at each other, so I apologise if you hear something you shouldn't. Welcome to my bathtub. This is my bathtub and I've decided it's time to wash. I'm covered in paint from work, I apologise, and my sore finger is from the fridge, which has got a sore bit. So I have here my temperature tree, complete with its coffee stain, which you can see brilliantly there. All I've got in here is very, very tepid water with a drop of Palmolive shower gel. Japanese garden, smells amazing, my favourite. And I'm also going to do a little bit of dyeing, which is why I'm actually taking the video. They're whipping each other with tea towels. That's Robin and Flora at each other. Standard patter for tea time. We've got something icky in my bath, as usual. 32 count Laguna pre-cut piece, white, because I want to stitch. It's a tiny modernist and I downloaded it in November, and she's called the Stitch Goddess, and there's actually two patterns. There's a red-haired Caucasian lady and there's a dark-haired, darker skinned lady, and I thought, yes, I want to stitch them both. So I started the blonde-haired lady on a scrap of fabric, and my goodness, she doesn't fit, like no margins at all. Marcia see my margins and went, where's your margins? And I looked at it and went, yeah, okay. So I found the piece of 32 count and I'm aiming to dye that a nice palish cornflower blue, and then I'll go in and mottle it up. This is a piece of 28 count Laguna in cream, and it's almost peachy. That's really the colour it is. And I want to put my summer lady on this, so I'm going to put my summer Celtic lady on that. So I'm going to green it. I'm going to get my medium-y green dye, put a wash of pale green on it, and then mottle it in slightly darker, but the same tone, slightly darker. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to let these soak for a minute, and I thought while I was doing this I would get my temperature piece washed and try and get the coffee marks out of it, so that I can get that stretched and framed and on the wall for a change. So I will see. So I'm fighting with bringing my own light here, but here they are sitting in. So this one, I've got some lovely black gloves, impervious to anything. These gloves, they're wonderful. We use them for printing at work. That one there was the white. You can see I did a lighter blue, and then I've basically just used Rit indigo on that, and that will be a lot paler than it is. And then this one here, which was the cream, which is for my Celtic summer. You can see the cream turned a pale green, and then I mixed a much darker green over it, which is actually, the dye's actually split. So we're going to have some speckle maybe when it's washed out. Can you see it's kind of split and it's looking a bit speckly? And then I put a little bit of Rit purple over it. Now I'm hoping, I'm going to rinse this right now, and I'm hoping this is going to be pale and subtle. If it's garish and Halloweeny, I'll put something garish and Halloweeny on it. We shall see. I'm going to rinse them out and see how we are. So the last time you saw those was before I rinsed them. What I will say is the piece I did for my lavender and lace, the purple, I can't get the purple Rit dye to stick. It looked beautiful, just what I wanted, and I rinsed it and it rinsed out. So I scrunched it all up again. I made a much darker concentration of it and thought, go for it. because it'll rinse out. If it's wrong, it'll rinse out, because that's what it does. So I covered it again and I let it sit, and then I put a lid on it and I microwaved it at 30-second bursts just to try and set it a bit more. Now, my piece of fabric, which I will show you in a moment, is darker than I was hoping it would be. But when I put the floss on it, it's not so bad. I think it's going to be fine. But if I keep washing it, I'm going to wash the purple out, because the purple is still coming out. If I keep rinsing it, it's going to keep on coming out. So it's either, and the green is colour fast, the green is set. So either it's too green, or it's green and purple, which looks really good, but it is slightly too dark. But I can't keep washing it now, because I'm just going to wash out the purple and leave the green. So I think I've come to a happy medium, and where the dye is, there's a lot of dress. The dress is going to be that size, so it's going to mostly cover the darkest piece with the dress anyway. So I think it's going to be absolutely fine. The blue, which you last saw, quite dark. This is what I've actually got in my hands, and it is blue. I'm trying to show it you without showing you my stitching goddess. That's not bad for its colour. It's showing slightly mauve. It's completely blue. There's no mauve at all. But you can see it's quite mottly. This is the right side. There. I'm quite happy with my mottles. There, can you see? It's really quite mottly. It's really quite nice. So I restarted my stitching goddess on this in the called for DMCs. The only ones I was missing was one of the skin colours that does her nose and the colour of the dress. So yesterday, while I was waiting for Eric to pick up Eric, I'll tell you about him in a minute, he's fine, I popped back to the garden centre and I bought 4 DMC and they cost me £5. It's so expensive. But I've got them in my hands, and I sat down and I immediately started stitching her dress. So here's where I am with her. There she is. So obviously started at the top with the moon, and did the moon rays so that I could set up for her head. I finished her head. She's finished. One arm is finished. Her hair's all done. All the bits in her hair are done. Face is done, and I've still got to do this flower, and then we go down into her dress. So she's going to fit really, really nicely. I did the 2 hummingbirds this morning and the pair of scissors this morning. So I'm really very happy with her. She's absolutely lovely. That's her colours. They're just lovely. Obviously, this is all going to be full coverage here, but I'm good with that. And my pretty fabric is going to look very pretty behind it. And as you can see, for once, I have appropriate borders, and I have more than enough to put the other one sitting there. There's my fabric. Isn't that nice? Look up if you're stitching at my fabric. It's turned out well. So you can see she's coming along really well, and that's what I've mostly been stitching on the last couple of days. And there's more than enough room to put the other one next to her with proper borders. Would you ever, hey? It's not like me at all, is it? So I've done that, shown you that. I'm sitting on my feet. I'm going to have to move, or my legs are not going to work ever again. Ow! Yes, I've got jammies on, like a bit lower down now, but my feet don't work at the moment. Right, okay, so here's the piece of fabric, what I've ended up with for my lavender and lace. Now, I'm going to show it you this way. There, it is paler than it photographed. You can see I've got, because it is in portrait, can you see it's going to be okay? So this is going to be the top. I'm going to air it. I'm going to put her higher. So I'm going to put less of a border on the top, so that this darker bit down here is dress. And it's probably going to be on this side. This is the more speckly side, because my green dye breaks when I dye it. It goes there. Can you see the green dye? that was completely and utterly dissolved. There weren't any crystals left. It was really properly, I dissolved it in absolutely boiling water. There was nothing gritty, nothing grainy. That just, that dark green breaks when it's dyed. So you get the speckles. But what I'm going to do is I'm going to stitch her on this side, because that was face up where all the dye was sitting. This was face down, so it's much paler. And I'm going to put her, so all her dress is going to be down there. And it's exactly the look I was looking for. It's kind of purpley flowers and leaves. It's exactly what I was going for. And you think it is very bright, very bold. Well, there's my Celtic lady. She's going on the fabric. What I can show you, this piece of shell, look at the background green I got. I did not bad. There. I did not bad matching the green. I was aiming for it to be this colour, because that's the colour it's meant to be, and I think it looks great on that colour. So that's the colour I went for, and as you can see I did a not bad job, because this was cream to start with. When I put my green dye on it, it made it a nicer green. It made it this khaki colour, and then of course I then just went crazy and put all my purple and my greens on it for a super speckledy effect. But when we get out the needle paints, and whoop, do you see Sarah the Stitching Mummy started her Celtic lady? She's just doing the words, the summer, a bit of the Celtic border down the sides, and she's just doing them to, I think she's cutting them off just where the neck, just at the top of the bodice. Sorry, I was just arranging my needle paints. But when you pop the needle paints next to it like that, you can see it's going to be fine, because the needle paints are much brighter, the greens are much darker, and the purples are different. I think that's going to be okay. So I'm looking at an Easter start. I'm going to hold on, now I've got everything I need, I'm going to hold on to my hollyhocks until Easter before I start her. But I've got my fabric, and I know which way round I'm doing it, and I know that I'm going to start her high, so that the darker bit at the bottom is going to be the bit that's kind of lost off the bottom. So Celtic lady is kitted with fabric, so I'm ready, but I'm not starting it yet. So that's where I've got to there. Let's put this horrible piece of witch chalk back in here, this horrible piece of shell, which holds my packet square. It keeps the packet from curling up because the fabric does not move. Right, so that was that. So that was the dyeing story of what happened there. And then quite literally this piece of taupe, which I decided was too dark to put colour on. I thought if I start over dyeing this, it's going to be way too dark to put any of them on. So, because it's in my hands, it's darker than it looks on the screen. I think that's probably as close as it's going to get. It's quite a dark colour. It's just called taupe, was what the packet said. So it was there on top of my pile, and it was looking at me, and I suddenly had an urge. Now I put up a little teaser on my Facebook group saying, with just the tiniest bit of border start, and said, any guesses? I'm going to tell you right now, guys, I had a mad urge, and nobody guessed long dog. Of course it's a long dog. To do a colourful long dog. Now I know I've got 6 long dogs on the go. They're all monochromatic, that I'm using 1 or 2 colours on. My Anzac's got 2, my Dilemma's got 2, all the others are monochromatic pieces. I suddenly had that urge to do one that was like quilts. For 2 pins, I could have just stitched quilts again. I just had that, I want to do a colourful long dog. So I had Flora in with me and I showed her how I worked it out. We've been watching Superstore on Netflix, which is just like 20-minute episodes. There's 7 seasons. We're halfway through. No, there's 5 seasons. We're halfway through season 4. We've been binge watching it because it's silly and it's light and it's fluffy and Flora enjoys it. So that's what we've been watching. Me and Flora. She's basically moved into my room in the evenings, which gives Lizzie a bit of peace because they still share. So I showed her how to sort of reverse engineer from the size of the fabric, which was a fat quarter of 28 count. So I was working it as 14 count because I'm going to do it over 2, aren't I? Because, yeah. So I worked out how many stitches. Oh, I've put that down on the... Actually, it's a box of Sharpie pens that the tripods, if it falls, it's because I've just wobbled it dreadfully, is balanced on today. I had written down here. Here's my sizings. So the maximum size for an 18-inch by 27.5 inch, which is the actual measurements of the size piece, with a 2-inch border, was 185 stitches by 325 stitches. Was the biggest long dog I could buy. So then I go into the long dog website and scroll through. I really wanted to do the, and you'll laugh at me why. I could have done whatever I was going to do. I wanted to do the one or both of the All Things Bright and Beautiful samples because I think they're absolutely beautiful, but I'll change up, when I do them, I will completely change up the words for a different song. So I settled on Count Your Blessings. This is what it is, guys. People in my Facebook group, I've drawn all over it. It's Count Your Blessings because with a stitch count of 153 by 213, it would have fitted over 2 on my 28 count piece of taupe Laguna. So I started stitching away over 2 over 2, and when you've just been putting in stitches like this, honestly, the crosses felt about that size, so I must have done maybe 12 or 14 stitches, and I was like, these are enormous. And I've got 14 count. I'm doing a Haid. I actually put a couple of stitches into my key this week. My key is 14 count. Not a problem with that. But I hadn't been stitching on that. I'd been stitching on 25 count. To go to 14 count felt like my stitches were enormous. So I stopped and I did one tiny cross. You know what I'm doing? So I could have picked any of the long dogs because I am doing it over 1. Do you want to see my sampler? That's it. That's it. That's that corner and that's that corner. It is going to be 6 inches wide. I actually don't even know if that is. I think that might even be less than 6 inches wide. So let me show you my tiny stitches. There you go. Well, good look at my tiny stitches. That's where I am. It's madness. There's 16,470, I think, stitches in this piece. That's not quite 1,000 stitches yet. Of course, I shoved it straight into Pattern Keeper like I do with any long dog. I've assigned it flat grey because I am changing up the colours. I'm sorry I've drawn all over this. I'm going to show you my colour palette and then explain what I've done here. So what I've done, I've got my old wooden box that I sorted out, which has got all my old anchors, and I picked them up in bundles of 2. So I've got two dark pinks, I've got 2, I've called those teal, I've called these 2 turquoise, I've got 2 cornflower blues, so I'm going for a light and a dark and a light and a dark. I'll pop them down. I've got 2, oh god, I've started both of these, 2 corals, and then I went back later and pulled out 2 purples. So that's one double, I need that one for the key, and that one's from my master set, that's 340. So those are the only 2 DMCs, that's 159 and 340 for purples. And then I've got a lovely, what I call a custard yellow, because when you put milk on custard powder it goes custard yellow. That's an anchor, that's 512 in anchor. And I've got 2 greens, one's an anchor and one's a DMC. I picked this one because I had 3 skeins of it. These were from my cheapie when Hobbycraft was stopping carrying anchor, and I basically was buying up them at 50p, which to me felt like looting, to do Renato Paron's Christmas tree. So I have 3 skeins of that. That's anchor 268, and I've added to that DMC 581. So there's my 2 greens. I want them same tone, close in colour. But I thought I'd need 3 because I'm basically the whole border's this colour. That was based on the border being a fat quarter size. My border's actually only going to be a quarter of the size now because I'm doing it tiny, teeny tiny. Add to that DMC 823, which is that lovely navy blue, ever so slightly purple toned navy blue, my favourite navy blue DMC. And I've got 2 browns here, which are both anchors. I've got 310 and 480 here. So those are the colours I've pulled so far. And the idea being that I'm going to wing it. The border's got several different coloured leaves in it. I'm just using the 2 colours, a light green and a darker green. So as I'm coming to a leaf, I'm just deciding which bit's the lighter green and which bit's the darker green. And then for the flowers in the border, I've just laid out which colours I'm doing so that it doesn't have 2 of the same colourway sitting right next to each other. If when I come to do the flower it doesn't look quite right, I'll just swap it out as I go. But I've kind of, and in case I drop them, lose them, I've written across the top what my 2 sets of colours are for my border. Not that I'm going to do all the border in one go. So the 3 flowers I've marked off, I've coloured, the 3 I've coloured in. Look, it's not going to be much different size to the piece printed out. So I've done this little coral flower, the blue flower, and it's just going to have the yellow in the middle. And I've done other bits of border and all of this line here. That's one of the border lines for the inside pattern. Now I'm going to change this pattern up. I'm going to turn the stag around so that he's chasing the dogs. I'm going to have the stag chasing the dogs because I'm not doing the fox hunting one, stag hunt. I'm going to turn them round. I'm going to put them exactly where they are, except I'm flipping them so that my stag is chasing the dogs. And the only other thing I'm going to change up is I'm not putting the words in. I might put our names in it. I might find something to put there, but I'm not going to put count your blessings instead of sheep. I'm going to just put probably our names. There's 6 of us, so I can easily chart up our names there. The only thing I'll have to do is make Lizzie a Lizzie instead of an Elizabeth because she's the only one with a really super long name. The rest of us have got quite neat short names. Madeline, yes, is a long name, but I've not given her one of the several English spellings. I've given her what I think is her name is spelt with a Y, Lynn, L-Y-N. So when you see her name written down, you can't pronounce it Madeline because it's not spelt Madeline. I had a bit of trouble as I was writing it down when I was pregnant. I knew what I wanted to call her, but I didn't know how Madeline was spelt, so I spelt it about 4 or 5 different ways, and then I went, my mum is called Linda with a Y. So I thought, well, I'm going to call her Madeline, L-Y-N. The only times I have ever seen it written Madeline, L-Y-N, is when I'm watching an American programme and there's a name comes up in the credits and it's Madeline spelt like that. So is it the American spelling? It's how I've spelt her name. So that was a very long way of saying that her name isn't that long because it doesn't have a load of I-E-N-E-N-E's in it. It's quite a short little name, really. There, that was a big long explanation for nothing. Anyway, so if I put on, I might put our names in it. So that's what I've spent 2 days doing. Well, a couple of hours in an evening. I don't mind it so much. I find this stitching thing really peculiar. I've tried 28 count over one before, accidentally, and it almost blew my head off. I couldn't cope at all. But I was trying to full coverage there. I don't know if that's the difference. This just seems, oh, it's just microscopic. Look at it, it's tiny. And they do kind of look like blobs and not crosses. I very much like to see a cross for a cross stitch. But there we go. Count your blessings. Colourful long dog. It's microscopic. It was meant to fit. It was meant to fit on this, and it's going to fit on a quarter of it. It's going to easily fit on a quarter of it. It's going to be about that size. Oh, isn't it dinky do? Right, other things I have to show you here. I've shown you all of that. My Dreaming Girl is on pause. I didn't want to keep stitching her until I'd seen the next piece because I didn't want to introduce too many other colours. It's actually mostly hair with leaves, so that's not a problem. I'm intending to crack on with her. I do struggle to stitch on this in the evenings, so there's that. So I will crack on with her soon, but I wanted to see the next part before I added in more colours, and I think I can make her go work. The next part comes out in what, 11 days, so 12 days, so I'll try and get a bit more done before the last part comes out. I haven't put any stitches into her, but I've not forgotten about her. She's just on pause. She was on pause. Right, so my only haul was the 5 DMCs, 4, 5, 6, 7 DMCs that I bought. And I bought myself, they arrived this morning, 2 packets. This is the second time I've bought 2 packets of Millwood number 26 needles. These are packs of 25, and it's taken me probably 8 or 10 months to get down to not having 50 needles. So these are number 26 needles. These are what I generally use for everything, apart from my castle walls, because I'm using a great big huge bodkin size needle for that, because I need to push the holes to stop the sulky shredding. So these are what I use for everything. These little size 26 needles, they're Millwoods. I ordered them on Amazon. They come from Minerva Crafts, and I'm looking at about £2.50 for 25 of them. These for me are perfect. They're everywhere, they're in everything. They are my needle of choice. There, exactly the needle I use for everything apart from that one thing. So that was the sum total of my haul. I have bought a pattern. I bid yesterday on Celtic Lady Christmas, which I got on eBay for £6. So I am just turning my light up a little bit because it's got quite gloomy. I think that's all the light I'm going to get, which I got for £6. So I'm really happy with that. That should come next week. I wasn't intending to stitch the Christmas. I was going to do summer, winter, autumn and spring. So now I have spring from Donna, I have summer that I bought as the kit up, and I've got Christmas, which says Noel on it. So, and she's red and she's beautiful. So I think she needs to go on a fairly dramatic fabric. She says, looking down at some fairly dramatic fabric. Now, Jennifer, who has been with me for quite a long time now, is amazing. She is the host, organised and hosts our stitching Zoom. Every two weeks, the Crafty Emily group has a Zoomy meetup, which is really lovely actually. I'm still very nervous with it, but I'm getting better. Sorry, I'm fussing it now. It's drying. It's getting floofy. So she sent me a package of unbelievable happy mail. She knows what she did. Thank you so much, Jennifer. I am absolutely blown away by what you've sent me. First off, she's got beautiful handwriting. I'm always so envious of people. My handwriting looks like something like a child's been sick. You know, it just doesn't. My handwriting's awful. She's got beautiful handwriting. I have a lovely Oklahoma bison, I think he is. He's a buffalo bison type thing. He's wonderful. Right, let me show you my happy mail. She sent me 3 Leo and Roxy, which I've seen people show and I've just got no hope of getting my hands on. 3 over-dyed purples. Aren't they wonderful? I have got Amethyst, Wisteria and Iris. Aren't they glorious? So I have those 3 there. And in this little bag, I have, there's a Threadworks in there. There's Threadworks. I haven't opened my little bag yet, but there is a Threadworks there. And there's a whole pile of threads with little tabs on them telling me their colours. They're all there. Ooh, all beautiful greens. So I've got greens and purples. My mind's already chundling as to what I'm going to do with these. And she's actually provided me with the answer. I haven't put them in any way nearly as nicely as they were. She sent me 3 pieces of fabric. I've got a piece here of, picture this, plus 28 count. Oh wow, look at this. Oh my goodness me. Oh, maybe we'll do Celtic Christmas on here. What do we think? Oh, that's lovely. And it's 28 count, so it's perfect for a Celtic lady. It is super sparkly. And it's got the green. It's got the green thread through it, which I, you know, sometimes I don't think they're always got the green thread. No, because she's got a different colour thread through her. So this is a big, big piece. Big fat quarter there. That is gorgeous. Pull that up. I'll put them all back in their bags. And then here I've got Bestitch Me, which I've never had my hands on Bestitch Me fabric before. This I can see is going to be absolutely gorgeous. This is 32 count. Oh crikey, look at that. That's amazing. That is absolutely amazing. What am I going to put on there? That's very nice quality fabric. It's heavy. That is heavy. Oh, it smells nice too. And then this one here. That one is 463. This one is called Cobbler. Oh crikey, these are huge pieces. Oh, look at that. Isn't that marvellous? That's opal as well. That's got the sparkle in it. Look at that piece. Wow. Jennifer, these are absolutely beautiful. Thank you so much. I am going to be... Oh, because that one's got the dark green tint. I wonder if the Celtic Christmas lady will look good on there. Bet she will. Has anyone ever seen one stitched on something really dark? you know, a Celtic lady on something super dark. I've seen Mirabilia's on really dark. Stitching Mommy's doing Stargazer on very, very dark blue, and it looks fantastic. And she sent me a pattern. Now, I don't know if I've ever said about this pattern. I might have done. I don't know. I have almost bought. I haven't ever bought it. Hello.
Hello. Right, I'm going to get myself off.
For where? You've got 2 hours.
It's 11:30.
You said 13. Go and look at your piece of paper.
Oh,
Excuse him. He's got his COVID injection today. He's got a big day today. I'll get back to my pattern in a minute. He's got a big day today because he's having his COVID jab soon. I think it's 13:33. He thinks it's 11:33. What?
so it is.
13, yeah?
Yeah.
I'm right. This is how it runs.
Yeah.
Okay. You can bring me coffee though.
Yeah.
So he's got his he's got his first COVID jab in 2 hours time. It only takes 10 minutes to drive to the community centre.
Look at why I had.
Because you thought it was 11:30, and I said you need to check, and you said it's 1:30.
Right.
Okay.
So I still had
Go
11
on.
stuck
I'm
in the
recording.
brain.
You can go.
Okay.
And then tonight, at 6:30 tonight, he's got scans in the mobile scan unit at the hospital, which he's been referred to the big hospital at Newcastle. I'm pointing towards Newcastle. It's that way from us. He's been referred to Newcastle to the back specialists there. The RVI is one of the best hospitals in the country outside London, so we're very happy he's being treated there. But the consultant said, under these current conditions, could you please scan him at Carlisle, which is that way. Newcastle's that way, Carlisle's that way. This way I'm pointing. I'm being pointless. To save him going out of area, because we're still not supposed to travel between areas. So he's being scanned at Carlisle, and what they're doing for the first time ever is doing a standing up scan. So he's got an MRI where he's standing up, because his compression of the nerve that causes all the pain is worst when he's standing up. And they've only ever scanned him lying down, and they always go, but there's no compression. As soon as he stands up, he's like, ow. So the consultant has said, can you please scan him standing up so I can see his spine as he stands. So when the consultant's got the scans from Carlisle through and reviewed them, then he'll go through for his appointment with so that the guy will already have all the correct information to hand, rather than seeing him and saying, and now we need to scan you, come back in 3 weeks for your scan, and then come back for the appointment. What they've actually done is doing his scans first, and then just like hopefully one appointment, and then whatever treatment hopefully they can give him. Where we're looking at an operation where they go in, it's actually in his hip, where they go in and tamper with the nerve to stop it firing, because it's the pain, it's the nerve pain. He's already numb. His right leg already doesn't work properly. Most of his back's numb as well. But the problem is the pain. So if they can tamper with the nerve so that it doesn't fire constantly, apparently it's like being plugged into the mains. Like flick, 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 flick with a switch, which isn't something you want or need to live with, is it? If you can avoid it. So hopefully now, this is where we should have been this time last year, but of course with the whole COVID thing and everything shutting down, it's taken us a full year. So he's a full further year into it. Whereas this time last year he was only taking a lot of tramadol. Now he takes morphine and tramadol. So it's a year worse. So hopefully we can get something sorted. The aim is to get him off the hard stuff, as much of the hard stuff as we can, so that he's got a bit more of a normal life. There's the plan. The pattern Jennifer has sent me. Have I said before, because I have almost bought this pattern several times. We live in hope. I almost bought this when it came out. It is a bona fide proper sampler, and I know what's called to both of us is the one that comes with it. It's that one. Yes, I will be stitching this. I will be stitching this. I think I'll be stitching it on this, and I think I'm going to use quite a lot of these. And at the top of my wooden box, I have a little separate section which has got little things that I've bought myself, and they're all my colours. There's Robin Egg in there. There's shall I just go and... This is going to be a super long one. I'm just going to grab it. Ugh. The only problem is I took the handle off it. So this is my thread box, and there's all my old anchors. Here's all my all 8 skeins. So I've got my weeks, I've got my gentle arts, I've got my anchor and DMC variations, and I've got special bits. So in my special bits, I've got one Belsoir Classic Colourworks in that colour, Aqua Velvet. I've got the leftover Karen Water Lily in a little bit paler, and then in my little pot of weeks I've got all the special ones. I've got Peony, I've got Robin's Egg. Why am I not holding these against a fabric? I've got Peony, I've got Robin's Egg, I've got Blue Iris, Dutch Iris. Ooh, that's the colour the fabric is, guys. It's Dutch Iris. Right, won't be using that one. There's Begonia. So added into the whole pile of wonderfulness that I've been sent, you can see I've got the makings of several rather beautiful samplers there. Comes my coffee. So thank you very much.
Right, there you go.
Thank you very much. I'm nearly done.
Right.
Right, nothing to show this week because he's been busy taking his engine to bits. Been busy taking his engine to bits, or starting.
Yeah. Oh, phone.
You lift your phone up here again.
Yeah.
Okay. Shows how much you use it.
Huh?
Shows how much you use it. Right. So I've got some planning to do. This is marvellous. I don't actually know why I didn't buy it, actually, because of all the samplers I could have picked, this is the one that I like and want to do. And that one there, that's that one with the ship. That comes with it. Oh, Home from Sea, that one is called. Oh, marvellous. Sorry, I'm just going to sit and just go, oh, marvellous. Thank you so much. We will put these to good use, and we will stitch things and show them, and brilliant. Thank you so much. Thought this week I would actually pull my finger out and do a tiny giveaway to the ends that I had put on here. I actually stuck my needle to it. Pulled out a needle minder. This is of oh, I'll tell you what we'll do. We'll put it on this gorgeous fabric. This is of Charlotte Square in Edinburgh. Now, if anybody likes doing pieces with big houses on them, or likes doing any of the Jane Austen type pieces, this is a perfect little needle minder for you, because it is a very beautiful stately home. It's a UK postage stamp, same roll for me, Charlotte Square in Edinburgh, so it's somewhere actually real. There we go. So if you'd like to be in the chance to win that one, just put me a comment down. I just count up the comments. I assume if you leave me a comment, you'd like to be entered in to win this cute little needle minder. I am aware that I have done, I think, 3, possibly even 4 floss tubes without doing a tiny little giveaway, like I always usually do. And I'm a bit behind, but I'm behind doing all sorts of things because there's so many good things to be stitching. So if you want to win, a chance to win the little needle minder, normal kind of floss tube things, you don't even need to mention it. If you leave me a comment, I'm going to assume you want in on the dip, and then next week I'll draw for it and we'll do something catch-uppy wise to make good for the ones I've missed. Right guys, this is going to be super long as it is. I haven't even told you about Eric. Eric, my darling little kitten, was 1 2 days ago. So he is now an adult cat, and he is a tiny adult cat, it turns out. He is not getting any bigger. And yesterday he went to the vets and was castrated. There's no two ways of saying it. That's what the vet said to me. And he handed me Eric back. He said he has been microchipped and castrated. So my little boy cat, who had become quite smelly, he had started doing what male cats do that smells disgusting in odd places where it shouldn't, not in the litter tray. And I don't think it's always wee. I think it's some sort of male spray stuff. He'd started meowing, you know, that meow that they do. He'd got quite grown up. So yeah, he's had his operation. I dropped him off at 8:30. I picked him up at 2. The vets called me at 5 to 12 to let me know he'd come round and he was okay, because I'm over anxious. I lost a puppy 15 years ago under anaesthetic. He was a 6-month-old Great Dane puppy that I lost. They put him under anaesthetic and he died. There's no two ways around it. So I've always been very, very scared of my animals being put under anaesthetic. Everyone ever since has been fine, but obviously you say it never happens, but occasionally it does. So Eric is fine. He's not right in the head. He never has been. He has taken up residence in his cat box, which he'd never seen before yesterday. I got him in, whoop, like, you know, trying to put a cat in a cat box. They suddenly got 9 legs. Even trying to put Clive at 20 years old into a cat box would be a battle to the death almost. You know, there's no way I'm getting Clive into a cat box. It's just not happening. It's like trying to put him in a bath. It's not going to happen, you know. Trying to put Eric, I just posted him in and shut the door, and I said to the girls, that'll be the one and only time I'll ever get him in that cat box like that, because he'll know next time. So when we brought him home yesterday, I got him out, and he was okay, but every 4th step his back leg was going out from under him, so his body wasn't quite awake. So we popped him back in the cat box, and he literally slept for 4 hours and just slept it off. Next time I got him out, his back end was holding fine. You know, he was holding himself upright and he was jumping around. He's very skittish. He's very scared. He's very sad. But he's okay. You know, he's okay. And it just has to heal and get better. He's been microchipped, so technically we can let him out now because 1, he's been neutered, and 2, he's now got a chip registered to me. So if something happens or he gets lost, we can find him again. He is a house cat. But, you know, the door does get left open. He goes to the door, he sniffs the air, he looks around, a bus goes past and he panics and runs back into the house, you know. But I assume at some point he will venture out a little bit. But essentially he's a house cat. So, and he's taken up residence in the cat box. I've taken the door off, you know, because it's just on clips, I've just taken the door off and he's now sleeping in his cat box. So, anybody else managed to actually get their cats into the cat box easily? Yeah, apparently Eric likes it, because he's weird. Anyway, guys, I have been rambling for more than long enough. I'm a little bit hypey because I just got a huge pile of mail from America. Thank you again. I'll ping you now. As soon as I wanted it to sort of be a bit of a surprise to let you know that I got it. But okay. Going forward this week, I'm going to finish off odd bits of stitching on my full coverages to try and get some of my history sprints finished, because I'm still really enjoying them. I'm just airing away from full coverage for a minute when I know I should be doing some. But it doesn't matter. If I don't finish the history sprints, I've got 6 finished. And for 2 pins, I'm a couple of 100 stitches short of finishing another 3. So I've taken a good bite out of it. I won't get them all done, not by any stretch, but I've taken a good bite out of it. And that's everything, I think, for this week. I will see you next week. We'll see how the week goes. We'll see how the week goes, and I'll see you soon. Thank you so much for watching, guys. Bye-bye for now. Bye.
Good boy. Back my fingers.
You bite your fingers?
Yes.
Because you're feeding him dreamies. He's not very pleased with himself today, is he?
No.
He's a little bit scared of the people unless they're proffering food.
He's so fluffy.